Hey everybody, Nick here, and today I got a review for you of this little guy. This is the Thrunite Flashlight's TC20. First off, I want to thank Thrunite for sending this guy along. That's right, full disclosure, just reviewed a knife. This light was provided to me by Thrunite themselves directly. And as always, I've told them I'd be talking about the good, the great, the bad, the ugly. It could be a gem, it could be junk, and they still sent it along. So we have to assume that this is a well-quality controlled one, and I've tried my best to not let that influence my review too much, but there you go, full disclosure. Next thing, let's do a little size comparison for you real quick. This is actually not a really large knife. Light. Here it is against the Thrunite Neutron 2C, which is a smaller everyday carry focused light that they've put out recently that I've really been enjoying. Here it is against the Phoenix UC35. Then a couple of other flashlighty sorts of things. Here it is against an 18650 battery, a CR123, a double A flashlight battery, and let's just actually get a couple of quick measurements off of it here. We are coming in at 4.6 inches here, and the diameter at the head of it is about 1.65 inches, diameter at the handle 1.27. So there you go. That gives you a rough sense of the size on this guy. It's not small whatsoever, and actually we'll do one final size comparison, and that's against this guy here. This is the EGTAC SX25L3. So this is a light that I've reviewed previously, and that is absolutely a gem. It's a super bright light from EGTAC. This guy is... we'll talk about the comparison a little bit more later. So anyways, let's go into the... Oh, and then one other little note here. This is using a weird battery type. I had never handled one before, but this is a 26650 battery. Again, here it is next to an 18650. This is a big freaking battery. And so that's something that's a little new and different, and it might catch some people off guard. So anyways, let's go ahead and talk about the good, the great, the bad, and the ugly of this very interesting little light here. So on the good side, first off, the size of this is actually not bad at all. It fits very nicely in my relatively small hands, which is good. I mean, carrying this guy, it's not too heavy in the pocket, or in the hand, that is, and, you know, it points well. It feels pretty good. And the ergonomics on it, on the whole, are very nice. Another thing that's very nice is just the machining. And if we look here, we've got these nice heat dispersion fins. We've got very nice knurling and things like that. You got a little lanyard hole thing on the back of it there. I mean, everything about this light is honestly pretty damn well done, and so I appreciate that very much. Next thing, the beam pattern on this is pretty good. It's hard to show off in this kind of circumstance, but what you've got here is a strong spot, and then on the outskirts, you still have a fair amount of light here. And I feel like this is a pretty nice beam pattern. It's not too, sharply spotty. For me, in my everyday life, a really strong focus spotlight sort of thing is not useful. I don't want a super throwy beam. I want something that puts out a lot of light in a general area. And I feel like this is a very nice compromise. You've got plenty of throw if you need it, but if you don't need it, this is going to be just fine. So I like the beam pattern. That's nice. Next thing, this is waterproof, impact resistant, the kinds of things you expect from a modern flashlight, which is good. Next thing, this has a micro USB recharger right in the back here. Pop this open, you can see here, this is just a micro USB port. And in fact, you've got a nice big hole for it here, so to speak. So pretty much any cable can get in there, and all you need to do is plug a cable in, and then it'll start lighting this guy up here. And that's really nice. It gives you a charging indicator, giving you red and I believe green, and then blue, or blue. Yeah, no, red means you're still charging. Blue means you're fully charged. Purple means, boy, you got a problem. But either way, that's always nice to have the indicator there. That way you know exactly what's going on. And the other nice thing about this guy that's actually a little bit more unusual relative to a lot of lights is that this guy can actually run while charging. You can run on Firefly low or medium mode while the light is charging. And what this means is that, if you just need a little bit of light and you happen to have an outlet, but you don't have like a lamp or something like that, this can actually work and not really use too much of the battery life. So that's kind of cool. I like that very much. Next thing, you got two options in terms of color. You got yourself a cool white sort of thing, and you got the neutral white, which is what we got here. And it's really hard to show off light color on camera, but on the side here, I've got a very cool white sort of thing, and then over here, I've got more of a neutral white. For me, I prefer neutral white. It's got a little bit better color rendering, although it's not like a high color rendering sort of beast sort of thing. But that is nice. I appreciate that they give you the option. Next thing, the interface on this guy is fine. It is a single click on, so it turns on with a single click. Then if you hold the light down, it cycles through the various settings. So we're now on high, and then it'll go back to low, medium, high, low, medium, high. At this point, if I want to go to turbo mode, well, it's on, I just double click. And now I'm in Super Oh My God Turbo mode. And it is indeed Super Oh My God. And I can hold, from the time when the light is off, I can hold this, and that'll get me Firefly Mode, which you can just barely see here. But it gets you a very, very low intensity light. But the nice part about that interface is that if you just hold the light and double click, you will not blow out your night vision. There is no way for you to accidentally go into high mode when you're looking for Firefly. And because that's something that's a little bit fragile. If you're already well adjusted and you just need a little tiny bit of light, it's good that they've got that option. And so I like the interface. And then you can also go into a disco mode, I believe, by triple clicking through. Yeah, there you go. You can triple click to get the disco mode if you need that, and so that's also nice. And then finally on this guy, the price is pretty solid. You're getting $90 or so is the price here, and this is actually a pretty damned amazing light in a lot of ways. You get a lot of power in terms of throw. You get a lot of power in terms of just lumens out the damn front of it, and you've got a lot of staying power. It's got good durability. We'll talk about all this in a moment here. And then you've got a battery and a charger included, and that's something to keep in mind. For a lot of lights, you end up paying a lot more because you're also buying a set of batteries for it. You're also buying an auxiliary charger for your 18650s. I mean, you pay a lot more with a lot of other lights, and this guy is kind of all in one package. And I like that very much, and so that makes this price actually quite good and pretty competitive for what you're getting here. So to me, all of that is the good. The price is really solid. The interface is absolutely fine. It works well. It's got the cool and neutral white options. You have USB recharge on it, which I think is a killer feature for any flashlight. Frankly, at this point, I'm only really interested in reviewing lights with that feature, because I just, now that I have it on so many things, I love it, and it makes it really hard to go back. It's waterproof, it's impact resistant. You've got a nice beam pattern for everyday carry. It's a nicely made object overall, and it is actually very compact for the power here. This is not a bad light whatsoever in that domain. So what's great to me, though, is the output of this guy. This is bright as heck for the size. This is, frankly, enough light for any task I've ever had. Actually, that's not true. Like spotlighting or something like that, you might want something even brighter than this. But for 99% of tasks on a regular basis, this is going to be way more than enough. This feels like a freaking spotlight. And you get nice solid run times throughout. On the turbo mode, you end up... there we go, we're in Turbo. You end up with 2 hours of runtime. Turbo is a 3800 lumen mode. Turbo is like obscenely bright. Turbo is too bright inside a dark room in a house. And frankly, Turbo is really bright outdoors. This is like you can stand on your deck and just illuminate the world behind your house with the Turbo mode. It's really impressive. You get 2 full hours of that, which is more than enough in most cases. On the high mode, which is 1800 lumens, you get 2.5 hours, which is still impressive. The medium mode, let's go back to that. There we go, is about 320 lumens. You get 10 full hours of that. And this is more than sufficient for navigating in a house or something, or in a dark room, something like that. Absolutely, absolutely good to go. The low is 38 lumens, which will also be good to go for most indoor navigation. And that gives you 2 full days of running on low. And then you get 37 days running in Firefly mode. But Firefly mode is really just... that's too dark for most uses. Unless you are a mole person looking at maps deep underground in the sewers in New York, which, by the way, this is a perfect gift for your mole person in your life. This is going to be a little bit weird. Why do I always... anyways. And so I really do appreciate the runtime and the power on this guy. This is a super powerful light that also runs pretty well and is super, super compact. And so to me, that's what's great here, is this thing is putting out a huge amount of light for a very reasonable amount of time at a very small size. There are some bad things here, though. To start with, hey, another black flashlight. Seriously, guys, we use these in the dark. Come on. Next thing, this is a little bit weird of a size, because it's a little bit big to throw in the pocket. I mean, you can do it, but it's big and it's kind of heavy, honestly. It's not like, oh my God, terrible heavy, but, if we put this guy down here, we're looking at 8.64 ounces. That's a lot of weight to just throw in a cargo pocket or something. It comes with a holster kind of thing that you can put on your belt if you want to look like a gigantic nerd. I mean, some of us don't have that option, but you might, so you might skip the holster. But still, it's absolutely a thing. Next thing, the 26650 batteries are not easy to come by. This is fine. It comes with one and it's USB rechargeable, but this makes it a little bit harder. You can't, for instance, expect that you can go down to the local grocery store if you run out of light and get a set of CR123s and throw it in your light or anything like that. So that limits your options a little bit, but with the USB, it's not a big deal. Next thing, this guy is missing a major feature from the 2C here. And then this guy has a continuous on and off sort of feature. You can see that as I'm holding down this button, it's getting brighter, and it's getting brighter, and it's getting brighter in a pretty linear and pretty continuous way until it bounces back down the other direction. This light doesn't have that. And that's really disappointing because feels like there's really bright settings, but then I want something that's between medium and low. I really do. And so to be able to just kind of scale back and forth between that in the same way that I can with this guy, that would be a real luxury, and it's missing that. And considering that's something they can do in software, that's something they should do. That is absolutely a missing feature here, and that's not a great thing. Next thing, speaking of missing features, I'd like to see a software lockout mode on this. I've seen lights that do this by doing, for instance, if you triple-click the button, it goes into lockout mode, and then in order to turn this button back on, you need to triple-click again. This is really nice because it means that you can throw it in your pack or your pocket or something like that without worrying about it accidentally coming on and draining the battery. And so I wish that they did that. There is a hardware lockout. If you give it just a slight twist here, it no longer functions at all. But to undo that, you need to use two hands, and now you're back to... But I don't care for that. Honestly, I'd prefer to see a software option there as well, especially with a reasonably prominent button on the side of it here. Although given, with the light being shaped as it is, it's very hard to accidentally hit that button. I can't do that there. And then finally, on the bad side, and this is kind of Thrunite's biggest issue, Thrunite that is, their biggest issue, is that you can even see it here. On the outskirts of this light, you get a very kind of a neutral white, what feels like kind of classical neutral white to me, whereas in the middle here, you're getting a much more yellowy, greeny tint to it. And this is just sort of a universal truth. The light in the middle is a different color than light on the outside. Practically speaking, this doesn't really matter, but if we compare it to a light like this guy, this is the EGTAC D25, SX25. Here, the light is uniformly colored throughout, and honestly, I do prefer that. And that is something that Thrunite, they've had that same issue here. I mean, you can see, oh yeah, same thing. They need to work on that a little bit. It's a little detail, but it's a detail that does make it feel, it's like a downside to me, legitimately so. And so, to me at least, that's what's bad here, is that the light coloration Thrunite needs to fix, because, guys, come on. It is missing a software lockout mode, and it needs that continuous adjustment from the Neutron, which was really a killer feature of this little guy. It is using a hard-to-come-by battery type. It is a little bit big for the pocket, a little bit small for the pack. It's a little bit heavy, and it is yet another black flashlight. On the ugly front, look, they really do need to work on that light coloration, but the thing is, practically speaking, although it's ugly visually, it's not ugly in terms of function. The light still works fine, so there's nothing really that I can point to as being ugly here. But Thrunite, come on, help me out with the coloration thing. But let's go into the final conclusion. Which is that, honestly, this light is really impressive. I took this guy out of the package. It was just like, holy crap. Because, you know, it's, oh my God, bright for a relatively small light. I mean, this is not that much bigger than your vanilla 18650 lights. Yet, holy cow, does it put out light. And it's got run times that are actually a lot better than expected. Some lights are kind of a glass cannon sort of thing, where basically... Well, I guess they all have glass and they all shoot stuff, but that's not what I mean by that. What I mean by that is that, you know, they put out a bunch of light for like 5 minutes or something like that, or before they shut down due to overheating. Things like that. That's not a great thing. But this is a light with a bunch of power that absolutely can put out light for a good amount of time. And then you throw in the fact that it's got the built-in USB recharge, which is how the world needs to work from here on out, flashlight people. I know not everybody agrees with that. You know, they look at it as an area, oh, well, you know, they could get water in there. It's another point of failure. But damn it, from 99% of the world, this is a better choice than owning a weird proprietary charger thing. And then on top of it all, the price tag is very, very reasonable. And so I like a lot of this. I mean, it's got some downsides, the light coloration, the lack of software lockout, and I really do hope they move to the same continuous adjustment thing that they've got on the Neutron, because that's a great feature and it's really conspicuously missing here. But it is really super impressive, and it's even more impressive because of its comparison with this guy. This is the ETAC SX25L3. This is a certified Dick Shabazz gem, and it is a really, really great light. But the thing is, this light makes me feel like I don't need this one anymore, because the SX25 does have the nicer light coloration, 100%. And frankly, I think I like the beam pattern a little bit more on the SX. The run times are also a little bit better on the lower end. In terms of the high turbo modes, they're about equivalent, but on the low end, you get more power out of this guy for a little bit longer. But the thing is, this guy is smaller, this guy is cheaper, this guy is just as bright at the bright mode, and the run times are so remarkably close that I am willing to sacrifice a little bit of runtime on the low end for something. Actually, you know, there is a considerable amount of difference on the low end runtime here, but I'm willing to sacrifice some of that super long duration runtime on the lower ends for this size decrease, as well as the addition of USB charging, which is a really big thing. I really hate charging this light because you have 3 different batteries and I have a 2-slot battery charger. It's a pain in the neck. And so ultimately, this is not only a gem, and I think it's a gem on its own virtues, but it's a gem that replaced a gem in my life. And it's a light that's good enough that I'm absolutely going to be buying a second one to have around the house. I mean, it is really, really nice. It's really surprising. And although they can fix the light thing, there is so much damn good here that I'm really, really impressed. And it's honestly, perhaps the biggest thing that this is a really nice demonstration of how far flashlights have come. Seriously, if you put this in the hands of somebody who's only handled a mag light in the last 10 years, they will be just blown away. But anyways, so Thrunite, you did a great job here. Work on the color tint, damn it. But it's a really nice piece. And I look forward to seeing what else they come out with, because the last 2 things they put across my table have both been shining freaking gems, and are both things I absolutely love in my everyday carry. And so, there you go. Hope this has been interesting to you, that it lit up your life, and that you have yourselves just an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.